So today we've got some additional progress going on with the Frontier. Want to keep you all up to date with that. Right now I am removing the old coolant hoses and installing the Preformance Racing hose upgrade kit. I'm just getting started on that. As you can see, the old coolant lines, I mean, mine are fine, but they've got 100,000 miles on them. I'm replacing the radiator. At this point, I am going to be replacing the condenser as well. I've got that ordered. But as we are doing all this, this is the best time to replace these old aging lines. These pre-cool hoses, you can get those at Off-Road Gorilla. As you can see, it really matches my aesthetics. The blue is perfect for my intake pipe, stuff like that. So the battery, some of this stuff wasn't even intentional, but I recommend starting with one piece and just going into the kit, diving in, matching that up. And so I've done that starting here with this hose. If you get the upgraded clamps, they are smooth as butter. So I'm really loving those so far. And I'm gonna tie these together. Now I've got on my setup a coolant bypass. Currently I'm running the stock throttle body. Typically I have an upgraded 90mm LS throttle body, but I've had some tuning issues that I'm working to address. So that's a story and issue for another day. But so right now I've got the stock throttle body back on there. So I've got a coolant bypass with a barbed coupler, and so that will go here and it'll join the next hose that's going to then run along here. So here's the original hose. That goes down and around. Pretty much right here's the replacement. So it's gonna go in right there. So this may be more than what most of you want to do, but I actually went through and cleaned the protective sleeve off of the original hose and put that on the new hose. I think that just adds a little bit of extra protection with the anchor. It's going to make things a lot easier to put them back in a certain order. So clearly this hose is going to need to go back in first, and then the smaller hoses after that. Otherwise it's going to make it a lot more difficult to put this one in. All right, so far we've got the throttle body coolant bypass done. As part of that, we have the two lines here that go over, that connect on the driver's side of the engine. I've also gone ahead and attached the lower radiator hose. Now down here, I've left that disconnected because the radiator still needs to go in. I want to make sure that there's plenty of room to move that around. So far, that looks fantastic. So part of the next components are going to be back here. Now I've already replaced this section back here, so these are actually new hoses, but regardless of that, I'm still going to replace the hoses that here with the pre-cool kit. So while the system is drained and everything, this is the time to do it. Now this is still factory right here, so I am going to go ahead and get that replaced. I've got that replacement. I've had it for a while just in case it cracked, started leaking. Now's the time to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that replaced. That way I can go ahead and replace those lines. And then I went ahead and talked to Pre-Drag got some extra line. One of the things that I'm going to try to do is add some line here for the catch can. Now, the hose for the upper radiator is not secure. I've just put it there, just kind of to indicate that's where it goes. These lines are in place. There. Got those lines taken care of. That back corner. Alright guys, one of the final steps with installing the pre-cool hose kit is this hose right here. Now this guy is a pain. Yes, you have to remove the intake plenum and the lower intake manifold. So if you do not want to remove your intake in order to replace this single hose, then don't. But it may be worth it. Maybe you need to go ahead and replace those gaskets. Maybe it'll be good to go ahead and inspect your head gasket. Maybe it'll be good to clean up the garbage around here. And this replacement here, I found this hose to be hard and cracked, a little damaged. I'm just not liking the looks of it. So I absolutely want to replace that. And it's fairly visible. While you don't have to pull the intake system to replace that, I'm just kind of pointing out that that is something you could maybe talk to Off-Road Gorilla or Pre-Drag about, maybe getting some extra hose and utilizing it in some other places, because there are some other opportunities. If you have a catch can like I do, that's another opportunity to utilize some extra hose if you know what size you need. There's some other hoses now, they're not they're removed here. So there's this line here, there's a line here, there's a metal tube, and then it goes up and over top of the throttle body. Actually, right there it is. But, so there's several options for additional hoses. So have that conversation with them if that's something you're interested in, to further add some aesthetics. There are diagrams for where these are located. I went ahead and installed this hose, part of the PCV system. Regarding this last little hose over here, it belongs somewhere. Follow that hose down and around under there, and then it goes underneath the tank. I can feel one clamp, I cannot feel the other one. I've removed the inner wheel well, and it is somewhere between the metal behind the wheel well and this mess up here. I'm not getting to it. I'm just not doing it. So kudos to anybody else who delved into it that far. Not today. All right, so I've got the intake back on. This hose is too long, but I'm going to trim that down. This is going to be the hose that runs to the intake pipe. So that's looking fantastic. I've got one of the lines for the catch can connected, and it's the same size as the brake booster. So I'm running that. And that line was a little bit longer, so I didn't want to get into a scenario where I didn't have enough hose for the booster. So I went ahead and ran that. So I'm going to come back and here in a minute and measure for the line on the catch can. That line and the line for the booster back there. Now I got the pre-cool clamps. These really nice clamps. You can get these. These are purchased separate. I did not put those back there just because those are so challenging to get to that I did not feel like trying to get a screwdriver back there, you know, from trying to disconnect those hoses, and if I need to remove that intake again, the plenum, I don't know that that's something that I want to mess with. And right now I'm in the process of replacing these lines, trying to figure out exactly what length I need for that. And so now we've got the clamp on there. Alright. So just like factory, the hose is going to fit right in there. That's a nice snug fit. That's going to be nice. And I just need to figure out my length. So I'm going to cut that and be right back. Alright. I think I found appropriately sized clamp. I'm going to try to get this really snug. Of course, this hose is not, you know, form fit like the factory one, so it's going to take a little bit of finessing. I think for right now, that's just one of those points where I messed with this intake plenum enough where that makes it a lot easier for me anyway. But these other connections, by far, that's the way to go. All right, so here is the one that I got today. So I'll get into the install of the radiator and condenser in another video, but if you're looking for a replacement hose kit for your VQ40, this is it, guys. The pre-cool really is a complete kit, does a fantastic job, high quality. If you're looking at additional hoses or other components like I did, talk to Pre-Drag, talk to Off-Road Gorilla. It's absolutely worth your while.